Hi, I'm DJ Waldow, and I turned 50 on February 23rd, 2026. So for the next 50 days, I am sharing one thing that I've learned over the nearly 50 years on this planet. Today's thing is the power of communication. The power of communication. Kind of what I'm doing right now, communicating. Communication matters, I would argue, more than just about any skill in the world. If you cannot get your point across, if you cannot communicate to somebody else, whether it be a broad community or an individual, nothing else really matters. Talking about the spoken word, the written word, whether it's a text, a tweet, or an X, what do we call it now? An email, speaking with other adults, speaking with kids, all communication matters. And this probably goes without saying, but I think it's even more important today in a world with shorter attention spans and the world of social media that we live in, the TikTok and Instagram, the doom scrolling. But let's talk about that attention economy. A lot has been written and shared about this before. I'm certainly not the first person to talk about the attention economy, but I do think it's one of the most important things in our world today. You have to get people's attention immediately or you lose them. There's too many distractions. There's so many things around us that pull our attention, whether it's personal or professional. I've always prided myself on being a pretty good communicator, but I think it's getting even harder today to do that and to stand out. Communication, I think, shows up everywhere. Personally, for me, it shows up in my freelance writing, obviously. Anything that I write is a form of communication. I've done a ton of public speaking in my life. Anytime I'm speaking in public, form of communication, obviously. And with my new attempt at stand-up comedy, a totally different form of communication that kind of merges everything. And of course, even communicating with friends and family, with my kids, with my wife, all of that is important. In fact, my wife often says when I'm telling a story, she kind of like rolls her hands like, okay, let's get to the point. What's the point? Because I like to tell a lot of detail. Sometimes I over communicate. Like I've always said, work in progress, certainly don't have this perfected. This power of communication even comes down to this podcast. I try my best to do these in one take, but of course I mess up and I have to go back and recycle things. In fact, originally this podcast was going to be a 10 to 12 minutes long, and I workshopped it with a couple of people and they said, that's way too long. People will never listen. So I trimmed it down to 5 to 7 minutes. I do short clips on social media, and sometimes even the short clips is all that people watch, which is fine. But all of those are different forms of communication. Even what I write in the captions is a form of communication. It's all important. And when it comes to communication, it's not that it has to be shorter and things have to be trimmed, but you have to ensure that every word is intentional. I'll never forget, I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of college at the University of Michigan, where I took this public speaking class. To this day, one of the best classes I've ever taken. I wish everybody could take a public speaking class, whether you love to speak or not. In fact, more so if you don't like public speaking. The teacher had us do something that was fascinating. We had to get up and give a 30-second, 1 minute long speech about anything. And the whole idea here was to remove likes and ums, those things that slow us down, those things that make us sound less smart, arguably. So what she did was you'd have to get up and speak, and she instructed the class in front of you. You knew this was going to happen as a public speaker. Every time the speaker said a word like some sort of hesitation or filler word, the entire class would clap. You'd get up there, you'd give your talk, and inevitably within the first 5 seconds, you'd say or like. Whole class would clap. What happens over time is that you intentionally pause, like I'm doing now. Instead of filling that silence with a like or an you just pause. You let your words sit for a minute. It was so powerful and something I think about to this day. I haven't perfected it. Certainly give a lot of talks with likes and ums, but I try to get better every day. That same class, they did one other thing. They said, when you're doing any kind of public speaking or any kind of communication, remove all the words that are unnecessary. Remember, I said every word in the communication is important. Every word, everything you say. The example this professor said, she talked about having to write for NPR, having to write for anything that has a limit. So a commercial has 30 seconds or whatever, 60 seconds, whatever the time frame is. You write the whole thing out, then you realize you have to cut words to get down to that time frame. It's no different than writing copy for social media or anything else. Trim, 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 cut, remove the non-essential words. Communication to me is so important that I am constantly on my kids about it, certainly to the point where they get annoyed with me. Since our kids were young, we would always make them go and speak to a server at a restaurant. So if you want more water, you've got to ask for it. You've got to learn how to communicate with that adult to ask for water. It happens now today with our older kids who have cell phones and are trying to text other people or text adults or send an email. I try my best not to write the text for them or the email for them. I have them do it. I'll help revise it, but you do it. I guess this goes back to the thing number 11, figure it out. But they do have to learn that. It's an important skill. We're constantly, as we get older, having to communicate with different people and to learn how to text and how to email and how to get somebody to read or listen to what you say or write is so critical. So I force my kids to do that as much as I can. And boy, do they love it. If you can communicate clearly, you can connect with other people. You can advocate for yourself. As always, if you liked this episode, if something here resonated with you, please share it on the social medias. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Go to 50things.co, like, share, subscribe, all the things. Tell your friends, tell your family, communicate with them, text to them, whatever you got to do. I appreciate you.